What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Fish the Moment. Today I'm on Beaver Lake in Northwest Arkansas, and I'm trying to film a few quick videos before I leave for the first Fish the Moment bass camp in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I was trying to think of some easy video ideas that I could make in a couple hours, and what better than a 2-hour fishing challenge. I'm actually here on a Wednesday night, and I know a lot of guys fish night tournaments and you have 2 or 3 hours to catch your fish, and so that's what I'm gonna do today. I actually just finished filming another video about how to fish or how to graph offshore structure. And so what I want to do is use all the spots I found during my graphing session for that video as my practice, and hopefully I can catch a few fish in the areas I graphed. And so I got 2 hours. My goal is to put my best 5 bass in the boat in that 2-hour session. And the only way I know how to do that in a quick way on Beaver Lake is to fish offshore. And so we're gonna be fishing humps, brush piles, points, ledges, all kinds of stuff, and hopefully putting a bunch of fish in the boat. And so I got 2 hours figured out. I'm going to start the clock once I find my first area I'm gonna start fishing. I'm gonna probably graph a couple of them, make sure the fish are still there, then we'll start the clock. So let's get after it. Okay guys, so I just pulled up in my first spot, and even though I graphed these areas about an hour ago, I always graph over spots before I fish them, especially in tournaments, to see if those fish are still there and positioned in a way that I can catch them. A lot of guys make the mistake of pulling up to an offshore area and they just start fishing and they never graph over the spot to see if the fish are actually there. And so I'm gonna graph over a few areas, see if they're down there, and then I'm going to hopefully put some good fish in the boat. But I don't have much time. I gotta stop talking and get after it. Okay, so I just graphed a couple of areas and I found a spot that still had some fish on it, and so I'm gonna start the timer for 2 hours right now. Okay, I got to try to catch some fish. Okay, I gotta line up on this first spot, have a little kind of drop out here in the middle of the lake. It drops from 30 foot into a steep channel, and I'm gonna start off by throwing my Old Faithful 3.8-inch swim bait with a 1/2 ounce jig head. It's a great bait for catching spotted bass out here on Beaver Lake. So kind of stopped a few, 30, 40 yards off this spot. I'm gonna line myself up and let's see if we can get some fish in the boat. Let's go. Okay guys, so for this video, I'm gonna be trying something a little bit different. Because I'm only fishing for 2 hours, I want to use time lapses to show you as much of my fishing day as possible and explain the decisions I'm making during this 2-hour fishing challenge to put as many fish in the boat as possible. And so whenever I'm going and trying to catch as many fish as I can, first thing I'm going to do is move a lot. I'm going to fish a lot of different places and only fish each spot for 5 to 10 minutes at a time. And so as you can see, I'm pulling up here to a couple different areas, making, let's say, 5 to 10 casts with a couple different baits. Maybe a swim bait, a football jig, maybe a drop shot, and a topwater, something like that, that kind of gives a fish a couple different looks. But again, not spending much time on the spot before I move on. And so this is really going to help me cover as much water as possible and find an active group of fish. And I'm also going to spend quite a bit of time graphing. I want to make sure that the spots I'm stopping on have fish on them. And so, as I mentioned earlier, I'm always going to graph over a spot before I fish it. And I finally graphed over a spot right here that actually had some fish on it. And when I pulled up to fish them, well, you'll see what happens here in a second. And so, definitely pays off to move around a lot offshore, not to spend too much time on one area, and try a couple different baits, because that'll definitely help you put more fish in the boat. Go. There we go. First fish right here. Does not feel like a big one, but on a football jig, he hit that thing as it was falling. Oh, that's a nice one. Stroking that thing. Oh, that might be, it's a largemouth. Dang it, that's not a keeper, guys. But that's first fish today off a main lake point out here with the channel swinging on it. Not a keeper, but again, first fish, not too bad. Let's get back in there. Hopefully there's more down there with them. I saw a bunch of fish on the graph when I pulled up here, guys. Probably 30 or 40 fish, and I didn't see this many actually when I graphed over about an hour ago. I saw maybe 10 bass, and I think as the day has progressed, more and more fish are pulling up on this point. And I mean, there were a bunch of them down there, and all I was doing was stroking that football jig, letting that thing get down there to the bottom, and I was just kind of hopping it up like that. And as that jig was falling down, that fish ate it. And It's a really good way to catch them when these fish are suspended, especially out here off some of these kind of points and shallower areas. Just stroking that jig, and right when it hops up, those fish will, oh, there he was. They'll eat it. Crap. Get it, fish. Oh, one bit it right there, guys. As I was reeling my bait up, there is a stack of them here. Oh my gosh. Grab a craw. That was a good one too. Oh man, God, I pulled my pants down. So I was reeling that jig up. Need to get that bait back down there. Probably get him on a swim bait. Again, a lot of stuff right now, guys, but I really like fishing a football jig. I feel like I get a good landing percentage on them. A lot of times if they eat it when you're reeling it up like that though, you're pulling it away from them. But I stopped that jig. He came up and crushed it. Ooh, they're down here. I found the spot, guys. Hopping that jig. Probably don't see a lot of jigs, 3/4 ounce football head jigs hop like this. Probably why I'm getting some bites here too. Just doing something a little bit different. I threw a couple casts with a small little 3-inch swim bait. Didn't get bit. Switched up to the football jig. I think one just hit right there. And that fish, those fish are crushing it. Get it, fish. Stop that bait before I reel all the way up, in case there's someone following it. Fire that thing up there. There are a bunch of fish up on top of this spot though. I mean, a bunch of them. A lot of times this time of year, these fish will pull up later in the day pretty close to these main lake points. I mean, right now I'm seeing in 25 feet of water. The point up there is real shallow, but just off to my left is very, very deep. You have probably 100 feet of water just off to the left here, and so it's a great little feeding shelf for these fish to pull up on. And oh man, they're all over the graph. Got him. Be a spotted bass. I don't think it's a 15-incher, so it's got to be a spot. If it's going to be a fish, or it's going to be a keeper. There we go, spotted bass. That is keeper number 1 right there. Whew. God, just burning right up in front of me. Trying to mark that waypoint, I'm assuming. Nice spotted bass right there. That's definitely a 12-incher. That's all I need to be out here on Beaver. Not going to worry about weighing them, guys. Just a little 1.25 pound fish. Don't really want to waste too much time. I want to get back in there, but we'll just call it 1.25 pound. But that's what I'm talking about. Nice spotted bass right there. There are a bunch of fish in this brush top. There's a brush top down there, as well as just a bunch of fish around this whole area. That time actually stroking that jig, got bit 3 times on that cast. So this might be the deal right here. Stroking that jig again, guys. It is a good way to catch fish. I fish this football jig in so many different ways. It's one of the most versatile baits in my tackle box. This is why I catch so many fish on it, because I'll fish it in a lot of ways. This is what, you know, a lot of guys fish maybe a flutter spoon or a swim bait in this situation, but I'm fishing the football jig. You can see it's working even on those spotted bass, but also catch big largemouth as well. Okay, so I caught those 2 fish and got a few more bites on the football jig. And so because I got those few bites, I fished the spot for about 10 more minutes, trying the football jig, a drop shot, and a swim bait, but didn't really have much luck. By the way, guys, if you ever see that in the water, it's a dead shad. That's a good sign you're in a productive area, but this area has stopped working for at least right now, and I only have 1 hour and 17 minutes left. Got 1 keeper in the boat, so not doing fantastic, but we're doing okay. I've only fished 3 areas. This time flies when you only have 2 hours to fish, and so hopefully I can pull up on a couple more areas and find a couple more active schools. I might also probably return to this area before the end of the day, see if I can't put a couple more in the boat. Kind of a bummer that first fish was a largemouth. Wish it was a spot that had 2 keepers. Also missed a couple more, but anyways, let's find another spot. So some of you might be wondering, why did you just leave a spot where you caught 2 fish and had a bunch of bites? You only have 2 hours to fish, why don't you just sit there and try to catch as many as you can? And what I found is that when I pull up on a group of fish offshore, I usually can catch 2 or 3 fish pretty easily, but then it usually takes a lot more work to catch more fish off that spot because the school will spread out and the fish will kind of get finicky. And so instead, I like to change up areas and look for new water and try to graph for another active group of fish, because I think I can get those fish to bite quicker quicker, and my odds of actually putting a bunch of fish in the boat are a lot higher using this approach. Get off there, fish. Here we go. Got our fish here. I don't know how big it is. It feels a little bit better, honestly. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Nice fish right there. That might actually be a keeper right there. I need to put that guy on the bump board. Check him out real quick. Oh man. Saw this spot on my graph. It's just a little rocky ridge I marked on Google Earth a while back, and didn't graph it before. Give me 1 second here. There we go. Didn't even have the bump board out. Oh, it's not even close. 13.5 incher. My tournament instincts are not what they used to be, guys. Can't even judge a fish. Should have known that wasn't a keeper. I didn't think it was, but I'll have to check them anyways. But there's a little rocky ridge that runs out here in the middle of the lake. Saw it on Google Earth before and actually marked it probably 6 months ago. And as I was running to the next spot that I graphed, I was like, that rocky ridge looks kind of good. I don't really know. I'm gonna graph over it real quick. And I saw a couple dots down on it, and boom, caught a fish. And so a lot of times marking those Google Earth spots, even for different seasons, can pay off, especially if you check them at the right time. But now the keeper again. What's all these largemouth going on out here? Normally I'm catching a lot of spotted bass and smallmouth in this area of the lake, and right now it's all about those largemouth. But hopefully there's some spots and some smallies where that came from, because otherwise I'm not going to get my limit. Come on, fish. And so I fished this spot for 5 or 10 more minutes with a couple different jigs and a drop shot, but didn't get really any bites. And so when I don't get bit for about 5 or 10 minutes after catching a fish, I move on and start looking for new areas. And so after this, I graphed for 15 or 20 minutes without really seeing any good groups of fish. It seemed like the fish I had found earlier had spread out as the sun started to set, and I did get one decent bite on a swim bait over the top of some standing trees, and I felt like it was a pretty good one, but didn't connect. And so after that, I decided to head back towards the area where I caught that one spotted bass, my one keeper, and see if that school had set back up after about 45 minutes. And I did manage to get one bite on that football jig, and tried a couple other baits like a 3-inch swim bait and the drop shot, but just didn't really get anything going there. And I didn't see as many fish on the graph either the second time I graphed over it, and nowhere near like as many as I saw the first time. And so with time running out, I decided that I probably wasn't going to be able to make it work offshore just because I didn't have enough time to keep graphing. And so I decided to run to an area where I actually saw some blue heron on the bank as I was driving around earlier. And a lot of times this will indicate that there are some shad pushed up in a pocket. And a lot of times where you see blue heron, you also find bass. And so started out by throwing a deep diving crankbait, actually lost a decent fish, then picked up a jig and started fishing it down some of these steep rocky banks, fishing a jig in maybe 20 foot of water, and actually got 2 bites in a row on 2 casts and missed them. And then I was actually able to finally get something together here in the last 10 minutes. So let's see if I can finish out my challenge here off this one spot with little time left. Got him. Oh! Camera got a little bit turned on me, but dang it, guys, that was another good one. That was a keeper for sure. Ate that jig right here on this bluff wall. Saw those blue heron up here on the bank. Only place I saw blue heron in the whole lake. And I knew this little bluff stretch was gonna have them. I threw a football jig down there, missed a fish. Threw this jig back in there, a little bit smaller 7/16 ounce jig. There it was again. Eat it, fish, come on. Stop screwing with me. I think he took my trailer. Oh my gosh. He took my trailer, took my pincers. Where's the trailer? I need to find one. I don't have much time left, guys. I am at the wire here. Fortunately, my boat's a mess. I've got trailers all over the place, but this little spot's got some fish on it just right here. This little bluff spot right here got a ton of fish on it. It's 3 casts in a row. I've been bit. Missed all of them though. somehow. If I get all the fish I missed today in the boat, I'd have had a limit no problem. I just keep missing them. I think it's probably partially this weather and just the way that this lake is right now. It's hot, humid, sunny. But right now they should be biting. I mean, you can barely probably even see me right now. Golly, fish. Oh, 10 minutes left, guys. It's not good. If I get all these spots in the boat they're biting, I can get 4 keepers in the boat like it's nothing. Just need these fish to actually eat. Stay on. Here comes a blue heron right out of the back of this creek, straight in front of me there. And there he goes. This pocket's got some activity around it. Didn't see any other blue heron all day. And that's like the 3rd or 4th one I've seen. I don't know if it's the same couple, but I've seen at least 3 unique blue heron through this pocket. So this pocket's definitely got it going on. And guys, that is it. Time is up. I'm sure you can barely see me right now, but didn't manage to catch a limit of fish. Only managed to get 3 fish in the boat. Got that 1 keeper spotted bass, couple of those smaller largemouth, and I actually missed several fish. I probably missed 7 or 8 fish. A lot of times when you're dealing with these late summer, like end August conditions, as well as these flat, calm, sunny conditions like we had today, these fish are not super active. And so I think I had 2 or 3 bites on this jig, just fishing on this bank right here. I had a bite on that crankbait, fish came off, had a really good one slam a swim bait, didn't connect, and it left some really big teeth marks. So I think that was a good spotted bass or smallmouth. And then I think I missed 2 or 3 more on the football jig. So a lot of fish biting, didn't manage to complete the challenge of catching the limit here in the 2 hours. But let me know in the comments if you like this format where I do the time lapses, I talk about my thought process going around the lake, and I can also show my practice, my 1 hour practice where I'm driving around the lake and what I'm looking for there. Obviously you can check out my video I made on that just a couple weeks ago or a week ago, and you can check out that video and see what I was looking for and how I was graphing it. But either way, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you like this new format. Let me know. I can make these videos almost weekly if you want. They're pretty straightforward to make, and if you like them, I'll keep making them. So thanks again for checking out the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Hey guys, thanks for checking out the video. Hope you enjoyed, and if you want more content from Fish the Moment, check out my website, fishthemoment.com. On my website, I offer virtual fishing lessons you can do from your home using Google Hangout, on the water fishing lessons where you can go out in your boat and I can show you how to find fish with your electronics and on the water, and also lake breakdowns of some of those popular lakes around the country where I'll give spot recommendations, conditions, and lure recommendations as well. And if you really enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel in a more personal way, donate on my Patreon page. On Patreon, you can give a small monthly donation that helps me continue to make quality content for you guys into the future. And last but not least, check out my social media pages. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and I post a lot of great pictures, videos, and articles about bass fishing. So thanks again for checking out this video, and I'll see you in the next one.